I've been a real estate agent for about 6 months now. Here's what I learned in this 6 months time span. So before we get into what I've learned as a real estate agent, I want to provide a little context to you guys and kind of describe what I've done so far as a real estate agent. So the first and major thing I've done as a real estate agent was buy my first investment property. Buying an investment property was the sole reason initially why I got my real estate license. I could save on commission. I could search things myself on the MLS. And I just wanted to learn the whole real estate process in and out. So I bought a property out in the Palm Springs area for about $520,000. And it was a huge learning experience for me, going through the purchase agreement process, actually getting an offer accepted, and on top of that, as a buyer, going through the whole loan documentation and finally getting the keys to the house. That was the first major thing I've done. So I referred my family member to a seller's agent, and what happens is that they'll give me a cut of their commission when the home finally closes. The home isn't on the market yet. It'll be on the market starting this month. If you guys are interested in how referral fee process works, then make sure to leave a comment down below and I'll definitely make a video on that. So now that you have a bit of context, let me tell you what I've learned so far in the last 6 months. The first thing I learned as a real estate agent is that the MLS, although it has extremely shitty UI, is a bit more powerful than some of the big real estate listing sites like Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, all those MLS aggregators. Let me tell you why. So the first reason why it's a little bit more powerful is because the filtering options are just a tiny bit better. They are more minute and detailed, so you can filter things you can't filter on Zillow, Redfin, or whatever. One example I can really think of is that on the MLS, there's a filter for leased land. So me as an investor, I normally don't want to buy leased land. So Zillow, Redfin, Trulia don't have that option, whereas the MLS does. All I have to do is check one box and I get fee simple land. Better filtering is one way that the MLS is better. Another way that the MLS is a little bit more powerful is because there are agent notes. So agent notes are notes from agent to agent that are only shown in the MLS. They do not show this in Zillow, Redfin, or Trulia because you're gonna have to have an agent represent you anyways. So these agent notes actually give some pretty good insight on the property itself. So sometimes agents will state things about the property that normally aren't on county records, and some of these can be deal breakers right off the bat. So some things that the agent will write up in these agent to agent notes are things that the HOA paid for and do not pay for. Sometimes they will describe condition of the property as well as room dimensions. They will also tell you whether or not a tenant is occupied right now, and if so, when the tenant's lease ends. And lastly, the agent might provide some things that do not show up on the county record, such as whether or not there's a solar lease, and if so, whether or not the lease is paid off, and if the buyer has to assume the lease. So these things can be decently big deal breakers, and having these things up front saves me so much time as an investor to sift out the deals that I want to look at versus those that will be automatically rejected. Moving away from the MLS, another thing that I learned as a real estate agent in this past 6 months is that being a real estate agent can be a struggle sometimes. Being a real estate agent is not as easy as it seems, especially if you do not have tenure under your belt. Although I haven't actively pursued clients, I know some people in the real estate industry that are pretty new that are struggling pretty fucking bad. And these shows such as $1 Million Listing and Selling Sunset do not show some of the struggles that the majority of real estate agents have to go through. I came across an article from Ambition, and they stated that the average income in California for a real estate agent is about $72,000. I'm making some assumptions that these guys are pursuing real estate full time, but all things considered, a salary of $72,000 is not all that hot considering that it is not guaranteed income like a W-2. If you do plan on becoming a real estate agent, this is no secret, but you're gonna have to grind to become a top performer, especially if you do not have the network in place. I actually want to test this out myself to see how hard it is to actually prospect clients. So I actually might start becoming a true real estate agent over the next couple months just to see how easy or hard it is to get these clients. If you want to see that video, make sure to subscribe because I think that video will be super fun and I will see whether or not I have the chops to become a top performing real estate agent. Lastly, the biggest thing I learned as a real estate agent in this last 6 months is that things can change in a second. I mean, a couple months ago, the real estate market was on fire. Inventory was getting snatched up in less than a week. There were always multiple bids over asking, and some real estate agents were making really good and fast money. After the Fed increased interest rates and the market started cooling down, I don't see many houses going over asking anymore. Houses are starting to stay on the market for longer, and the housing market is just becoming softer. I guess what I've learned is that you cannot take things for granted when things are going good. You have to jump on every single opportunity like it's based on your survival. And so when things are good, you have to take advantage to the fullest, and when things are bad, you have to learn how to manage and to stay afloat. We haven't gone full gloom and doom yet so far in the real estate agent. I think over the next year, if interest rates are to continue to go up, some real estate agents will definitely have a rough year. Because real estate is cyclical, and very rarely there are exceptions to the rule. If you learned something from this video or thought it was entertaining, make sure to give this a thumbs up. It really helps me with the algorithm, and I want to grow this channel. I will see you in the next one. I am trying to upload more. Have a good day. Bye.